Welcome everyone, it's Karen from Close to My Heart, and we are going to be doing a process video today. I'm excited to scrapbook this story in these photos. Before we get started though, I just want to remind you as always to like, subscribe, and turn on your bell notifications here on YouTube for Close to My Heart so that you won't miss any of our fun videos. Let's get started because I've got lots to show and tell about and am excited to build this layout. So the story that I'm telling on this layout is my son and his wife just bought a beautiful new home. It's not actually a new home, new to them home. It's such a gorgeous home with an amazing floor plan and a yard to die for, but it is a little dated inside. And they asked, in fact, I'm going to pull this little picture out right here. They asked if I would come and help them redo their whole back hallway, powder room, and laundry room. So we did flooring, we did wallpaper, we painted the vanity, you can kind of see in there. But these pictures tell the story of the process. I'm going to scrapbook the finished result, which turned out better than we could have ever imagined, separately. But today I thought it would be fun to tell the story of this whole process that we did together to create these beautiful rooms. And I got to tell you, I did a little more prep than usual because as I was thinking about what I wanted to put on this layout, the colors I wanted to use, the products I wanted to use, light bulbs just kept going off, and I'm kind of excited to show you some of those light bulbs. One thing I thought that would be fun to use on this layout was these are kind of a new product with Close to My Heart. There are word strips, and there's 4 different colors that are in our, I think, January, February 24 catalog, and I thought it would be fun to use those. And let me go over to the close-up camera for just a second. I want you to be able to see, they're different. This white one will be easier for you to see on, I think. Different shapes and sizes of little banners that you could stamp words on, write journaling, stamp a cute border on, whatever you wanted to do. But I thought they'd be fun to use because I've got a bunch of pictures. And excuse me, I also thought they'd work well. So here are all the products. We put them all together to take a picture that we decided to use on this kind of home refresh project. We did a black and, well, it's kind of a gray, a deep gray and white checkered floor and this beautiful wallpaper. So I was trying to think of things that would go well with this. I'm so excited to show you some fun things. So the first thing I thought of was I love interior design, and that's why they asked for my help, but I'm always a nervous wreck until it starts coming together. So one of my famous phrases is trust the process. So I decided I would use that as my title. I stamped that in this alphabet here. But as I was stamping that, I used charcoal ink because I feel like that goes with what's going to be happening on this layout that we're going to make. This is the second attempt at stamping trust the process. The first one, this is a 12-inch strip, I think, and it just wouldn't fit. So I was like, okay, I need a stamp set with a that I can use. So then I went hunting for a stamp set with a and I found it right here in It's the Little Things. This stamp set is called Remember This Moment. And then as I was looking at it, I was like, oh my gosh, all of these words are so perfect for this layout. So we've got living the good life, our story, life is a beautiful ride, good things take time. All of those things were like, oh, I would use those. I'd maybe even use them on these fun little strips. So I grabbed this stamp set, not just for but for those phrases. And then I thought, but I do want some icons on this page. And I went through stickers and things that I had on hand and didn't really find anything to bring down to the video studio that I thought was going to be the perfect fit. So I was like, there's got to be a stamp of some kind. So I started going through stamps, and you guys, to die, you're not even going to believe this. This is why I thought so much ahead on this one, because like I said, those light bulbs kept going off. I'm going to find the photo of a close-up of the wallpaper. Okay. Can you kind of see these little bunches of flowers and these kind of yellowy green leaves? Well, I was going through stamp sets and look, I don't know how that happened, but whoever designed this stamp set here close to my heart must have somehow known the wallpaper I was going to be using because it's amazing. So I decided to stamp and play a little bit because these colors, while the flowers are white, the leaves are kind of a muted chartreuse, and then the background is like our charcoal color. So that's why I've been stamping. I stamped this in charcoal, and I thought I'm going to play and see what I can come up with on this. So I'm going to show you what I did. And then I saved some to color here to show you. But so I stamped this fun little bundle of flowers that looks like those bundles of flowers. And then I started using markers, and none of my markers were the exact right color, but I did a lot of layering of color. And now they're the exact right color. I love that you can do that with alcohol markers, so I thought I'd show you that on one or two of these today. So I did stamp some leaves and flowers and things that we can use on this layout. So as you can see, lots of forethought here, so hopefully it will go together well. And I grabbed a few stamp pads. I grabbed a shortbread stamp pad, thinking that that might be a fun color to use somewhere on the layout, more like maybe a background or something, so that it felt a little like those leaves. And then I grabbed two grays, charcoal, which is kind of the color of the floor we did, and the background of the wallpaper. And then I also grabbed a lighter gray called mink. Hopefully those will get me through what we're going to make today. And I drew myself a sketch. Now, you guys know, if you've watched very many of these process videos, that I am a sketch girl. Quite often I draw my own. For me, it gives me a really good starting point when I make a layout. And I have lots of photos. I think I have 9 of the process of this project. And so I wanted a layout that I could use lots of photos on. And I loved the idea of it being kind of linear because it was a process, and I had decided on trust the process for my title. And I'm not sure if you can see, I drew myself just a little pencil line here that I used to make sure I was getting all of my stamps nice and straight. So this is what I came up with, and I thought one of these squares could be journaling. So I have printed my journaling on a 3x3 square as well. So that is, I feel like I'm pretty prepared today to get creative and have a direction that I'm going in. I feel like this saves me, when I draw a sketch, saves me from cutting paper and then recutting paper a different size. I still do that sometimes, but I feel like it gives me such a good starting space. And there's a couple of things that I thought of as I was making this. I wanted my title to span both pages, so it felt like one continuous piece. I also liked the idea of these pieces down the sides, but when I do that, I rarely make them the exact same size. I like one to be a little larger so that even though we're mirroring a concept or an idea, they're not exactly the same, and it gives a little more visual interest. So those are the things that I've thought through ahead of time. Hopefully they're going to help me make something really amazing. And I'm just going to move over here and show you the papers I brought down. I felt like, since what we did in Easton and Dacia's house was neutral, that I wanted to kind of stay neutral in my papers. So I grabbed some of the colors that felt like some of these word strips you can kind of see here. And that kind of gave me a direction for my color schemes as well as my photos. And I grabbed a few neutral papers. I grabbed one paper from our Sweet Memories paper packet, this ledger. Obviously, I don't feel like this is going to work too well, but I think that I might be able to use part of that ledger. And then I also grabbed some papers from our January, February mix-in paper packet. Mix-ins are my favorite. I love that they have really usable, neutral designs in colors that work with the paper packets in that catalog. So this is what I've got so far, and I kind of have an idea in my mind of this ledger. I like that idea because we did a checkered floor that's linear, and we were figuring out lots of numbers, so it sort of feels ledgerish. Then I grabbed a bunch of cardstocks. So I think what I'm going to do is start with this ledger paper, grab my paper trimmer, and I've made so many layouts with this ledger paper since it came out. And I've learned kind of a cool trick with it that I'll show you. The reason I have learned this trick is I love this design right here, but it doesn't go with everything I want to scrapbook. So what I like about this trick is that it allows me to either use it or not use it. So I'll show you what I mean as we get going on this layout. I was thinking I would use it as kind of the main page, the main paper in the background, and then add those strips down the two sides that we've been talking about. And I'll show you what I've discovered. So if we lay these down here, and I'm going with, where did I put my little sketch? I'm gonna want that sketch handy somewhere. There it is. If we put paper down the sides, this one will cover that. This one will not. So what I can do is cut this off right here, scooch this in so that it's more like that, and then that paper strip can go along the side. So I want to use something really neutral on those sides. And as I was grabbing neutral paper, I gravitated a little bit toward this guy because I loved that it sort of had the feel of this floor that we laid. I love that floor, and I kind of felt like it's the same colors, a little bit distressed like the veining and the flooring. So I think I'm going to start going that direction. Let me just cut off the zip strip here and see about what size I want this to be. Zip strips are approximately a 1/2 inch, but sometimes they're slightly bigger or slightly smaller, so I like to make sure that I line that up before I cut it because they are different sometimes. And I drew the sketch so this left side will be a little shorter, but I do want it to cover up most of this that doesn't really match what I'm doing. I think if I go about 4 inches, that'll probably be about perfect. And I planned to do that right side quite a bit wider, so I probably need to figure out. Yep, that's nice. I don't mind a little bit of green poking through. I need to figure out how much of this I need to cover up. Okay, I'm liking that. As I'm looking at this, I think I want something to define this. My scarf is getting in the picture. I'm going to turn it around so it doesn't keep falling in the picture. Okay, I feel like maybe I need something to ground all of that. And I want it to be, I think, darker. Let's try this charcoal. I also want, like I said, this thing to feel like it is one continuous page. So I'm thinking maybe I just have that border showing around the outside of maybe some charcoal. Let's see how that looks. If I move this, you'll be able to see better. There we go. Yep, I like how that's looking. So I'm going to cut, maybe I'll glue this together and then cut it down about 1/4 of an inch everywhere, but on the inside edge. Let's see how that looks on my piece of charcoal cardstock. Yes, I'm liking how that looks with that border around the edge. So I think I'm going to do the same thing over on the other side, but what I need to do over here, I think, is a little different because they're not laying on top of each other. So I think I need to stack them. Take 1/4 inch off the top and bottom. All right, I think I've got my 2 base pages mostly figured out. So what I want to do is just lay my photos out on here and kind of see what it's feeling like with the title. I still need to stamp that "the" in the middle of my title. We'll do that in a minute. I'm going to get really crazy today and start moving things so that I don't have to deal with the any part in the table until we're done cutting. It's always nice, even if you think you're measuring something exactly, to, if something's going to line up like this is lining up, to kind of put them right next to each other and make sure that they're going to line up. And they look good. All right. So if I have my title here at the top, my photos, I'm just going to start laying a few out. If you remember in my sketch, I had 4 on one side, and I think this is where we said we're going to journal. I may move these around a little bit, but at least I'll have a general idea of where they're all going to go. That journaling piece will there it is. They'll turn up around here somewhere. So everything's 3 by 3. Obviously, they're getting lost on that paper. I'm going to need probably some of this charcoal behind them. But I also feel like I've got a little more space between them than I want. So maybe I'll double mat these. Maybe I'll do a layer of white daisy cardstock behind them and then some charcoal too. Let's see how that looks. I know I brought some white. Here we go. All right, back to the trimmer. Everybody cross your fingers that I get this to cut on our warped table. So those pictures are all 3 by 3s. I'll cut 3 1/4 by 3 1/4. And that would mean I would need 10 of those, right? Let's just try it on one first and see how I like it. Yep, I like that. I'm just going to do 10 of each of those. Okay, let's add these to our photos. More cutting I'm going to need to do, but I can always just slide that back around again. And I actually like the order that these ended up in, so I'm just going to stick with it. Some of the things we did as we did their bathroom was we painted the vanities, so we had to, it was with a knotty alder wood that it was under it, so that was a wood that had like little knots and holes in it, and we didn't want that in the finished. So we filled all the holes with wood putty, and then we, I think the second thing we did was wallpaper, and while my son and I were wallpapering, my daughter-in-law started laying the floor. And then the end part turned into all of us laying the floor. It was a week-long project, but it's so amazing. And I gotta say, I'm gonna miss being at their house every day. I would leave work every night and go straight to their house and work till late at night. And it turned out so beautiful. Very linear. I think these flowers that I stamped ahead of time are going to help soften this a little bit. Everything's very square and perfectly lined up. So I might want to do a few things to play with that a little bit. I talked about those word strips. Let's stamp the and get those word strips and see where we might want to add some. Okay. I'm going to show you a trick on this the. You might have been wondering when I said, oh, I found a stamp set with a the, how I was going to possibly stamp just that little the. I'm going to show you. Let's go over to this close-up camera. You'll be able to see a few things on here too. The back side of the Versamat is spongy. It's great to stamp on. And so I've got that here. I'm going to grab my charcoal pad, which is what I stamped the alphabet letters with. And let's grab this stamp set. We've got a the there and a the there. Maybe I'll do this one that's in Living the Good Life. And I'm thinking I'm going to probably split this right about here because this side's longer anyway. So I probably want to put the over there. So let's get that. Okay, Living the Good Life. I think I've got some sticky notes over here. Yes, I do. And my stamp pad and a stamp block. Okay, Living the Good Life. That's too long for that block. Let's try this. Okay, if I were just stamping Good Life, that would be easy to be able to go over here on the edge of the block, leave Good Life on the part that I would stamp on and be able to round that around. But since I'm doing a word right in the center, you could cut your stamp, which at home I would totally do. But I'm going to show you another way. I'm going to take a sticky note and cover Living and Good Life so that all I have left is the. I don't know if you can see that very well in the camera, but take my word for it. That's what's showing, the. And I am going to ink this up in my charcoal ink. And obviously I'm going to get ink on the word the, but also on my sticky notes. So once I get that inked up, I'm going to take my sticky notes off. And that leaves me just an inked the that I can add right there. Trust the process. That's going to be awesome to chop and then take some extra space off of. And while I've got this here, maybe I'll just start stamping. First, maybe I better not stamp word strips till I work them out, because I think that, let's go back over here where I can work out the word strips. I think that I want to use all the colors of these word strips because they're all kind of in my photos. There's a craft color, a white, and then one that's kind of a khaki color and one that's kind of a gray color. And I like them all. Let's see what size I would want for some of these words. I think they'll fit on this size right here. So maybe I'll alternate colors. That might turn out cute. Let's see what I can come up with. 4 colors. I think we want these sizes. So maybe 2, 3, 4. I got to see where everything lands. I'm going to start grabbing some of these other colors to play with a little bit. So maybe I'll go with white one here. Maybe a gray here. These word strips are so much fun. I've been using them on lots of projects, personal projects, as well as projects that we do in the art studio here. We've been using them quite a bit. They are really fun to use because you can do so much with them. They could be titles on a page. They can be subtitles. They can poke out from behind photos. All kinds of fun ways to use them. Let's see, that means I need one that's kind of a dovetailed one right here, and that would put us at, that didn't work right, did it? Well, we'll see. We'll see how it goes. Let's try this one down there. My pattern might not be perfect, friends. I don't want a gray right there. I have one there. Maybe I want to go with this, maybe white. And it needs to be one of these cute ones with 2 little holes on either side to make it match. Then maybe I want to go with this color next. I'm just alternating the dovetailed ones and the ones with the little bracketed shape. And also kind of trying to make the colors not end up right next to each other. So I think I need the darker gray here. And then maybe one more white right there. Cute. I like that. Maybe we could even do some of these larger words in the stamp set down the side of the page or something. I'm just going to start stamping some of these words onto these strips. I definitely know I want the one that says Our Story under my journaling, so I'll start there. Okay, I'm really happy with how this is turning out. I think I'm going to work on my title here for a second so that I can make sure I have these spaced like I want them with the title on there. Let's bring this back, make our cut here. Got trust the. I'm just going to cut a little bit off of process here. That ended up being. I feel like that title needs a little something under it too, but I don't know if I want to keep adding more and more charcoal because then I think it wouldn't bring your focus anywhere. So maybe mink. Let's see if I can find it. I know I brought some. Let's see how that looks. Yep, I think that's it. Let's see what this measures. This is 5 1/4. So it's also 1 1/2 wide. I remember that. So I'm going to do 1 3/4. And then I want that to meet in the middle. Uh-oh, I didn't move over enough. Try that again. So I want this right side to line up like that, kind of like we did the page. So maybe I'll just put it in here like this. I'll glue that right on there. Yep, I like that a lot. So I don't think this one's, oh, it is long enough. How about that? I need to erase these pencil lines I made for myself as well. So I better do that while I'm thinking about it. Yep, that's gonna look good, I think. So I'm gonna run an eraser. And I think it's a little too stark as I'm looking at that, so maybe I'll grab myself a blending brush. And I think I brought down that shortbread pad. Let's see what it looks like if I add a little color behind that. Just a little to bring in this color here. And still, I think hopefully the layout will still feel nice and neutral, but just give it a little hint of something that is somewhere in between neutral and color. Yep, I'm liking that. Hope you can see that on camera. It's just a nice light brownish yellow that I'm adding in there. Just using my shortbread pad, I'll bring that into the camera so you can see, and a blending brush. I always like to dab it off as I'm blending so that I don't get like a blob of ink onto whatever it is I'm just adding a little shadow to. I'm liking that a lot. I wonder if I should also do that behind my journaling. I think that might be pretty. Oh, that's pretty. I hope you can see that on camera. I'm going to add a little bit here too, to the middle of my journaling, I think. Tie that together. Yep, that looks nice. I'll make sure to show all of this to you on the close-up camera as we keep moving. But I think you might be able to see that. It looks like on my camera I can see it. Just a nice little shadow. I feel like as I'm looking at this, it's nice that I can look up at the camera because I can see it as this, almost like I'm looking at it in a book. I feel like I need a little bit of something right here. And I cut some zip strips off. I don't want green, I don't think. That came off the ledger paper. Where's the zip strip I took off these? I like that. Let's take this off. Maybe I'll even cut it into 1/4-inch strips. And then I'll be able to use one zip strip to go across both pages. There we go. Let's see how that looks. Yep, I like that a lot. So this would be 11.5. I just need to cut a 1/2 inch off that. This little paper I'm using underneath me has like a little ruler on it, so I'm just using that. I need to do the same thing with this one. I think it's starting to really come together. I'm excited to add these little flowers I did ahead of time. I think they're going to be really pretty on here. I also love using this all-purpose mat under me for this exact reason. My adhesive's wider than my strip here. So by using this, all the additional adhesive that's not on the paper ends up right here, and it just wipes right off, which is awesome. That made a big difference. I really like that. This is why I haven't glued anything down yet, because you never know what idea might strike. There we go. I'm feeling like I'm about ready to start gluing things down. Where did all that go? What have I done? I think this goes here, Oh, that put me with those two. Let's try this again. Maybe here and here. There we go. Okay. I'm going to add these right to the bottom of the photo. Some of these strips were so perfect. This one says you and me. This is my son and I kind of talking through the best place to start. We started this wallpaper in the back corner of the room because you always want to start in the back, where the place that it's least seen or noticed when you first start, because that's always the worst strip you put down. So we were mapping out our plan. It says you and me. It's the little things. Their little guy Cove came and wanted to help, so that's so cute. You have my heart. That's my son. He does. He has my heart. Choose to shine. I don't know. It sort of goes with that. The room's going to shine when it's done. And I've got celebrate everything. Daisha was so excited when the floor tiles came. And so that fits. Our story obviously fits great with journaling. This says captured memories. Daisha had never painted cabinetry before. So she kept running in the house saying, what do I do next? And then running back out to paint the cabinets. Captured memories. Wild at heart. Some people thought we were crazy to do a black and white checkered floor in a back hallway, but I love it. Good things take time. It did. It took a week of hard work. So that all fits so perfectly. I'm going to add my title. I think all we need on this layout now is maybe a little bit of personality. And that's the end of that guy. Let's get a new one out. Make that title look like it's one continuous title coming across my page. And I think I'll start on these that meet in the center. And we'll use those as our guide. I just move this down a little bit. Come to think of it. Do you guys do that? I love that this adhesive can move for a while, because I definitely move things as I put them down. I just try not to push too hard when I first am gluing things down, because it never fails that when I get everything put together, I go, oh, I need to move that up a little or over a little bit. And that allows me to still do that. I was also thinking as I was pulling the words off of some of the words on there that were a little bit larger, that would be so cool maybe down some of the sides on larger word strips. So I'm going to try that too and see how it looks. But we're on the second page. I got to line that guy up. I'm trying to allow the same amount of space here as I'm doing over here, so that it does feel like it's all one long continuous line. That's not straight. There we go. I think I'm very lucky. Everyone told me, so I have one daughter and then 3 boys, and everyone said when your boys get married, be prepared, because you won't get to see them very often. They do everything with the wife's family. And so I thought, well, that's a bummer, because I kind of love my boys. And it has not been that way for me. Daisha is amazing. She comes from a family of all sisters, and they're all very close. So it would have been really easy for her to just say, sorry, we're always going to be at my parents for Christmas, but she's never done that. And I just have been really blessed with amazing daughters-in-law, I guess is the grammatically correct way to say that, who may have made our family theirs from day one. And so they really do split their time evenly with ours and their family. And I love that Daisha, I feel like she's one of my own. She just is. Okay, some of the things I saw that were fun. Say yes to new adventures. We'd never laid floor before. And let me just tell you, I have learned to cut those little tiles like a pro. You make me happy. Remember this moment. Remember always and forever. Those are all really good ones. Maybe I'll grab one of these larger ones for each of the colors and play a minute. Nope. Maybe over here. And let's see, one of these craft ones. I've also got these flowers that I did ahead of time that I'm going to grab. I am going to color one for you just to show you how I mixed colors to get this perfect match to this. I was pretty proud of myself, actually. I'm liking that. I like the white in the middle. I like that a little better. I have my two bolder colors on the top and bottom to balance. All right, let me grab some flowers. Start playing a little bit. Okay, I like that. It softens this page. Maybe one could be over here. Visual triangles in scrapbooking are a big deal. So I've got these two right here right now. Who knows if they're staying there. So it might be nice to put this one down here in the corner. So I've created a visual triangle. It can be done with shapes, stamps, colors, all kinds of things. And it just kind of helps the eye move through your page. I'm going to stamp these now that I've got them sort of laid out like I like. I'm going to do Say Yes to New Adventures. That's my favorite. This was an adventure for sure. It has been probably 15, 20 years since I've had wallpapered a room. Even though I'd wallpapered before, it felt in a lot of ways that I hadn't. And we used, this paper was a peel and stick, which was fun. I'd never done that before. It was definitely a whole new experience. So it was a new adventure for sure. Remember this moment. You guys are gonna, maybe next month my process video will have to be the finished product so you guys can see how beautifully it turned out. There we go. Remember this moment. What else do I want to put on those? You Make Me Happy. I like that one. I don't know if you noticed, but the hardware is all blacks and golds. And so I was looking for gold accessories and couldn't really find anything that I loved. So I found an old gold gloss spray that I may try a little bit on this page. We'll see. I've got everything glued down. I probably should have thought of that before I started gluing everything down. We'll see if I can make my way around things. I like the flowers. I like this. I also did a few small flowers. Let me go over to the close-up camera. I promised you guys I would show you how I did these flowers. So let me clean up a little bit of mess that I made over here. And we can work on them over here where you can see. All right, let me grab one that I haven't colored yet. Maybe. Oh, here we go. All right, there were 4 markers I used. I used brown gray blend, red brown blend. Both of those we still carry. We don't carry all of the colors we used to carry anymore, but if you have these, I also used yellow green blend and light yellow blend, which honestly it doesn't matter because you don't have to match what I matched, but it just might be helpful to you to know. So I'll tell you what I figured out. The leaves, as you can see, are, like I said earlier, kind of that yellowy green, a little bit chartreusey. So I started with this light yellow blend that had a lot of green in it. And oh, actually, I'm actually going to start with this. This yellow green blend I used to kind of just highlight some of the veining on the leaves. I did that first because I want what goes over the top of it to kind of blend it in a little bit. So then I went to this light yellow blend. Can you see how much green is in that yellow? But it was still a little too like neon-y, so I'll show you what I did next. I love that alcohol markers blend. So pretty. Can you see as I'm going over those veins I just drew on, how they're just sort of disappearing and looking shaded. I love that. So normally I would then go to a darker color to add a little more shading, but instead I went to this really light of the red brown blend and went right over the top of what I had already colored. And it gave me the exact color I wanted. It's kind of still that chartreusey color, but it's a little more muted. So don't be afraid to play with your and layer your alcohol markers. I love how that works. And then I use that same yellow green on these sort of spriggy leaves. And then just shaded the centers of these flowers since they're white with the lightest of the brown gray. I'm just going to take this and kind of go over those lines that are already there for you on these flowers. And then I went back in with that lightest red brown again and kind of highlighted those lines a little bit. I love to, if I know I'm going to use a bunch of something, which I thought these would be so perfect on this layout because they look exactly like the flowers in the wallpaper, I always stamp a bunch of extras. And if I have some that maybe weren't the perfect stamping job, those are the ones I like to practice on. And so you can always use the nice ones later and color those once you figure out your whole process. Okay, I'm going to come back over here and decide where, if I even want this one. Okay, I'm happy with where they are. I am going to find some scratch paper around here somewhere, and I'm going to cover up my photos and see about maybe doing a little splattering. Just going to cut a little off this piece, used to be a mask. Too much. Always a way to figure it out, right? There we go. I'm going to splatter this. Like I said, this is just a gold gloss spray. Only I'm not going to spray it. I rarely spray unless I want to do like a whole thing. If I had thought of this beforehand, I maybe would have sprayed. But what I'm going to do is take this and open it and tap it on my finger and just see what kind of little drips and drops get added around here. I'm actually going to tap it on something hard. It works better, I think, tapping on something hard. I'm just adding some little splatters, some big splatters. You can even touch that little applicator to your page. I wanted to get a little bit on some of these word strips and on my flowers, just not on my photos. I'll show this to you close up in a minute. It takes a second to dry, so I think I'm going to add all these things that need to be glued on, and then I'll dare move this and show it to you on the close-up camera. I like it when there's some that are like big blobs and some that are little. So obviously you can make it look however you want. There we go. See how that looks when I pull this off? I think you can probably see some of the larger ones that I did. You'll be able to see the little ones too when I move it over. See how it turned out. Oh, I like it. Okay, I just got to be really careful while I glue these down that I don't smear any of those little dots. Here, we also matched the cabinet color that we went with to the leaves in the wallpaper. So that was a fun little accent in there. Okay, I think we're about there. I did bring some embellishments that I thought might be fun to add. We've got these, they look like gems, just clear sparkles that maybe I'll add. And then these tiny ones that are just like them called bitty sparkles. And these I think I'm going to put in the centers of my flowers really quick. I'm going to move over here where you can see better though. I'm such a messy scrapbooker. Stuff everywhere. Okay, let's do this where you can see. There we go. And now you can kind of see some of those splatters a little more. I also can see that that was not strict. All right, I'm going to bring my little bitty sparkles over, and I'm just going to add them to the centers of some of these flowers. So I'll just pick them up with my piercing tool. That's a cute little extra bit of bling to go with the gold, I think. Maybe we needed to add a little bling in that bathroom with the gold. We could always go add these to the wallpaper, right? I love what that little bit of gold added. That was a fun addition. I am forever and ever going back and looking at pages and going, ooh, what if I added this? Or what if I added that? Do you guys do that? I'm going to bring this second page over. Be really careful because some of this is maybe not quite dry. As I'm putting these on, I'm thinking these little guys that have the holes in the ends might be a fun place to add the larger sparkles. So I'm going to bring those over and do that, I think. And then I better stop myself before I get out of control. Oh, cute. Can you guys see the sparkle? Maybe if I move it a little bit, you could see the sparkles in the corners of, in the centers of those flowers. And that one right there, that turned out fun. I like. Okay, let's move this over where you can see the finished product. And I'll move some of my mess out of the way, and hopefully you'll be able to enjoy the page without being too distracted. I'm really happy with how that turned out. In fact, I'm looking at it thinking when I scrapbook my after shots that we did, I may make a paper out of these flowers, just stamp those in the background and color them so that it's a fun background on the next page. I love that this stayed really neutral because that's what this is, and I wanted those photos to pop. I didn't want them to be overpowered by color. Plus, there's some color in these photos that pops already, and I didn't want to fight with that. And I'm loving the word strips and all the fun things that happened with those. In fact, I'm looking here. I think I'm going to add one more little thing. Sorry, guys, bear with me. See what I said about always going, oh, it might be cute to add this or that. Well, here we go. That is what we're doing. What if I added these right there? I'm just going to cut the ends off of these and add a little cute banner. We'll see how this looks. Oh, that's going to be cute. Great afterthought. Oh, look what else you can do with those cute little banners. Okay, I'm calling it good for real. If I start to say one more thing, you guys just turn off your video. All right, we're gonna call that good and done. Thank you for joining me today. I had fun building this page with you. I hope it gave you some fun ideas and maybe inspired you to scrapbook a project you've done in your home.